What I'd love to explore with you guys, and of course you guys as well, don't be shy, because I already know you. I saw you guys chatting out there. I know that you're a chatty group, so you can't pull that over on me. Let's talk a little bit about what exposure means on a real personal level when you make the choice, or the choice is made for you, to splay yourself open in the public that way. You know, in your case, you know, Laura, you talk about digging more deeply into the art, but at a certain point there becomes a realization of self as well, a deeper understanding of self. You talk about how when you created JT and had this experience of this being who maybe wasn't a real carbon-based human being, but who had a very real experience for you, that it was in going through these stories that the truth, the unfettered, this unfettered creativity dug you down to the undiluted truth underneath. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, contrasted to the experience of what it was like when you see these things in the public as well, and how you balance between those.
Well, when I call it the reveal, 2005, 2006. It's kind of like being a brightly painted color fish, and you're hanging out in the coral, and you're artfully hidden, and then suddenly they take a spotlight and they shine it on you, and they say, "Oh my God, look how you blend in. Tell us, how'd you do it?" And it's like, all I know is I'm good at getting fed and sharks don't eat me. Let me get back to you. Because what they looked at the whole JT creation, it looked like the Taj Mahal when it was created popsicle stick by popsicle stick. And for, it's like people, they have the right to know, and to have somebody say, I am a mystery unto myself, I don't understand. I think that's very frightening to people. And it maybe brings up that we live in, it's like, what's reality, right? A reality show? And it took me a long time. I was very much a mystery unto myself. And at that point, JT had become anaerobic for me. I was able to, my lungs had developed, but it had to be done. And also, I think it is of service. It was more of service for me. I was ready to share who I am, and it took some time. I'm not sure what the rest of the question is.
Well, Janet, from your perspective, it was a conscious choice that you made to step forward into the spotlight, to use the same analogy and say, here I am. Mm-hmm. What was the process of that decision for you? Was there a moment when you realized that this was something that you just had to do, or was it more of a series of an ongoing events? Talk a little bit about that.
I think I always knew that I would come out in this public way eventually, once I was kind of settled in my life with my friends, with my family, and just a good place for me to say that I love myself completely. I own the totality of who I am, everything that I've been through, and that I'm not my circumstance. And I felt as if there was no one that I felt represented me in the media in any kind of a way. And my story, since coming out in the Marie Claire piece, hasn't really been picked up beyond the LGBT community. And I think it's because there isn't that quote unquote deception or big husband transitions into wife spectacle that we kind of love. My girlfriend's a man, or that kind of whole thing that we love, the freak show nature of how transgender people's lives and trans women's lives are just kind of thrown in front of the spotlight. Let us see your boy pictures. Let us know your butch name. Let us know, just kind of, and so I just kind of wanted to lend a different kind of truth to it, a diverse portrait in a way. Also, I'm a woman of color, obviously, and that was important to me. And I think that at first, maybe the first inkling of it was Larry King's murder. I remember being, in the 7th grade and having crushes on boys, and the only way that I could defend myself sometimes against people who were bigger than me and stronger than me and more masculine was to say, watch out, I'm going to kiss you, you know, and, and, you know, they would stop teasing me, they would stop, you know, and for Larry, you know, his gender.
Does everyone know the story? Do you want to maybe give a
yeah, and well, Larry King was a gender nonconforming kid, went to a California school. He was in the, I believe he was 15 years old. His killer shot him in front of everyone, and he was 14 years old, shot him in the head in front of the class, and he got off, and just recently. And Larry said he was gay, and he said that he had, you know, his teacher brought him dresses, and he wore makeup to school, and he wore brown Target high heels. And he lived in a home for kids. He didn't have a family, and you know, I was insanely blessed that I did have a family who loved me and didn't kick me out when I said that. At first, I thought I was gay, and then when I said, "Oh wait, me being feminine doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gay. It means that I've always been a girl," and acknowledging that and recognizing that and just kind of going with that, and. Yeah, so that was the first instance, and that was around in 2008, and then kind of the media's attention on, you know, the bullying sensation, like kids are getting bullied, you know,
like
you know,
it's brand new.
Yeah, as if kids weren't hurting themselves before this and hurting each other and not understanding each other in schools, and so I just felt it was the right time to kind of say to my media folk around me and my colleagues to say that, hey, I'm transgender. You know, and
what kind of reaction did you get?
Oh, my colleagues were completely fine. I think that it's just kind of, I think the reaction just within themselves, they just kind of thought, they looked at it differently. What they'd been writing about transgender people, transsexual women, transsexual men, what they'd been writing didn't come to life to them. There's a complete different, it was kind of mind-blowing for them. They're like, oh wow, we've been working with you for the last 6 years, and we didn't know, and how relevant is it, and do we really need to see those pictures of you? And so like when our site handles, you know, Chaz Bono's coverage on Dancing with the Stars, or handles Isis King on America's Next Top Model, it's handled differently. It's because they know someone now, and they are responsible now. And so when you're responsible, you can't act ignorant again. So I think that's where it's kind of changed a little bit.
You know, it was interesting when the reveal came, the media's reaction was just hoax, perpetrator, culprit, the jig is up, come clean. No, but they didn't ask why. They just, New York Times, they just didn't ask why. And there was no, what they will do to uncover all kinds of bizarre truths, right? They just didn't want to ask why. They didn't want to invite any generosity of spirit or understanding. Why would somebody go to this extreme? Why would somebody do this? And it's mashugana, you know? And it's just because I was portrayed basically like a bored New Jersey housewife. And the thing is, what...
Anyone else find that amusing?
But for people who read the work, what was really upsetting is because it was the felt authenticity of the work and the experience, and it didn't make sense because people who have gone through those experiences, they know, like you just, like there's the tourist view of it, and then when you're in there, right? And I have heard from, they just have said, you know, that just didn't ring true, that you just made it up because you're bored or wanted people to feel sorry for you. It's like, no. And that was the painful thing, that someone who, Sarah was their life raft, and they were being told that they were being laughed at and tricked. And it's been really phenomenally, I don't even know the word to use, uplifting, hopeful that the work has survived lawsuits and all kinds of craziness, that just when I get an email from someone saying how much it means to them and that it's, they have a voice that expresses who they are, what they feel. They don't feel alone, because we live in the illusion of our isolation. We live in the idea that our experiences are separate and that we are not. It's like St. Paul said, is the foot not of the body, right? And to feel like when I would read something and, you know, that feeling of I'm not alone, right? And that, and for me, I hated myself so much that I needed to create someone that I could fall in love with, that someone else can fall in love with, so I could love another person, right? And if that's a hoax, that's a love that dare not speak its name, right?